This is a video to help answer, in a visual manner, the two most commonly asked questions we get asked. What is the difference between stenciled concrete and stamped concrete, and what makes stenciling better? I will answer that for you and much more, but I warn you, some of the pictures we are going to show you are graphic by nature and are meant for mature audiences. I will not only show you why stenciling is a far superior process, but I will also show you what makes stamping inferior and why even the most experienced stamper can have problems. You will have to wait until after I show you the pictures though. We want to see if you can figure out why these uncontrollable blemishes occurred. Now, while some stamping contractors can avoid some of these scenarios I'm going to show you some of the time, I will show you it is impossible for them to avoid these issues all of the time on all jobs. No matter what your contractor tells you, this can happen to them. In fact, it has happened to them, and at one point or another, it will happen again. The question is, will it happen on your job? When we, as a business, are talking about this topic, we are speaking from experience. Not only were we in the stamping business for over 5 years, we have been in the stamping repair business for 6 years now, which makes us more than qualified on both ends of the decorative concrete spectrum. There is, however, a very specific reason why we got out of the stamping business, and it is not because it wasn't lucrative, but because it was very unpredictable by its nature. Now, don't get us wrong. There are qualified stamped concrete contractors that take the necessary precautions and have the tools and knowledge to minimize these bad scenarios. But the question still remains, which contractor is it and when will it happen to them? Now that I told you it is impossible for even the best stamped concrete contractor to avoid a bad job, let me tell you why it's impossible and also prove to you that I'm not just rattling my lips here. What I'm going to show you first is a group of pictures of a beautiful stamp job followed by a bad stamp job. Now, in all fairness, not all of these scenarios I'm going to show you on the bad stamp job can or will happen on one job site, but they could. It's not impossible for this to happen either though. The question now is, which one of the bad scenarios can you live with? Here's a montage of some photos of a stamp job that you might see in a typical contractor's portfolio. Enjoy! Now, those were some pretty pictures in the montage we just showed you, and I hope you enjoyed them. Unfortunately, I can't say that about the next set of pictures of bad stamping scenarios you are about to see. The following is not for the squeamish or faint of heart. If this is you, please turn your head now, as these pictures we are about to show you is what could happen to you should you decide to go the stamped concrete route. Here it is. Wow, that was rough and ugly. If you need to excuse yourself to go catch your breath or get something to drink, we understand. That was both pathetic and disturbing. Now, ask yourself these questions. Do I want to look at these blemishes every single day? Can I sleep at night knowing these flaws are there? Do I want to try to argue with a contractor about these issues? Do I want to pay my hard-earned money for a job that looks like this? If you answered no to any of these, then stamped concrete is not the answer for you. Period. Now, I'm going to come clean about a little trick I pulled on you. Earlier I said, now in all fairness, not all of the scenarios I'm going to show you on the bad stamp job can or will happen on one job site. The sad fact is that all of these horrible pictures are from one job site, with the exception of the footprints. I'm sorry, but it is true, and that could have been you. Here are some of the unavoidable facts about stamped concrete and why it could go bad on any job, and also why it could go bad on yours. 1. Some contractors bite off more than they can chew. 2. Some contractors do not have the manpower to handle the scope of the work they take on. 3. Sometimes they get caught in bad weather, which could be either rain, wind, or high temperatures. 4. They get a hot load of concrete. 5. They had inconsistent colors mixed at dispatch. Or worse, all of the above. This bad job could have happened to you. Be glad we are saving you from the future headaches and misery of a bad stamp job. Here is something that we did not point out in the picture that makes another huge difference between stamping and stenciled concrete, and that is the texture. While stamping has multiple patterns to choose from, it still only has one texture. With stenciled concrete, you have many textures to choose from. They range from very aggressive to semi-aggressive, which also makes stenciled concrete safer to walk on. This should be taken into serious consideration, especially if you have children or elderly individuals who will be walking or playing on your project. Now, let's talk about stenciled concrete and why these above scenarios are irrelevant in this process. First, the crew size. Even if your scope of work is only 500 square feet, a professional stamp crew should have 5 guys to effectively work all the joints, edges, release agents, patterns, seams, and overall design. This also means high overhead for the contractor, so they might cut a corner by eliminating a position and having one crew member double up his workload, leaving a huge opportunity for error. In stenciling, you only put down on average about 100 square feet at a time, making the site very manageable by only 2 or 3 people. This process is then repeated to maximize the details of your project. Second is the bad weather that creeps up on you, especially in our area. With stamping, once the concrete is poured, you must work it from start to finish or you lose the load. In stenciling, you can start and stop as necessary, as you can do as little as 25 square feet at a time and cover that very easily if need be. Other bad weather could be hot weather, which will make the concrete set very fast and unstampable. With stenciling, even in 90-degree plus weather, heat is a non-factor, as again, we can control how much we put down at a time, whereas in concrete, you have to pour what came in the truck. Third, the hot load, which simply means the concrete has been sitting longer than it should have in the truck, or the temperature outside is hot, or worse, both. The concrete could sit too long in a truck for multiple reasons, such as the driver getting lost coming to the job site, or the driver was stuck in traffic. These are both unavoidable scenarios, and they could happen to you. With stenciled concrete, we are not pouring the concrete. We are going over the existing concrete. So, even if your concrete was aesthetically poor, we will be going over it, ridding all of the blemishes. The last scenario in our example is a bad color mix. This is when 2 loads do not have the same ratio of color added to the concrete, and one pour will inevitably be darker than the other. Even worse, this will typically be right on a joint line, making it more noticeable. With stenciled concrete, we mix our batches on site every time. We also add our second and third colors to highlight the job itself, giving you a more natural look. The bottom line is this: stenciled concrete is better because it is much more predictable in its final outcome. The crew size, weather, concrete mixes, and only one available texture in stamping are, in my opinion, too risky when spending your hard-earned money. These are all bad scenarios that could happen to you and are sometimes unavoidable. At the end of this video, I will show you a chart to show you some other things to take into serious consideration when choosing between stamping and stenciled concrete. Now that you're educated as to the differences between stamping and stenciling, and you have seen what could happen to you, and you're ready to make an informed and intelligent decision, let me show you a few other recognizable names that have made the same informed decision to use our proven techniques and products. Thank you for your time, and remember, decorative concrete surfacing is who we are, and badass concrete is what we do.